Well, good afternoon. May I welcome everyone to the 18th meeting in 2020 of the Delegated Powers and Law Reform Committee. We have apologies today from Gordon Lyndhurst, Mary Fee and Gil Patterson, and if I can welcome Brian Whittle to the meeting. Under Agenda Item 1, we are considering an instrument subject to the affirmative procedure. No points have been raised on the registration of independent schools, prescribed person coronavirus Scotland Amendment Regulations 2020 SSI 2020 draft. Is the committee content with this instrument? Thank you. Under agenda Item 2, we are considering instruments that are subject to the negative procedure. Education Deemed Decisions Coronavirus Scotland Amendment Regulations 2020 SSI 2020-149. This instrument amends Regulation 5 of the Education Placing in Schools, etc. Deemed Decisions Scotland Regulations 1982. Regulation 5 applies where an education authority has decided to exclude a pupil from the school. An appeal from that decision is heard by an Education Appeal Committee. Where the committee fails to hold a hearing within a set period of time, it is deemed to have confirmed the original decision to exclude the pupil. The amendment made by this instrument is to increase that period of time from 1 month to 4 months. The instrument was laid before the Parliament on 14 May 2020 and came into force on 15 May 2020. This does not respect the requirement that at least 28 days should elapse between the laying of an instrument, which is subject to the negative procedure, and the coming into force of that instrument. The committee is therefore required under standing orders to draw the instrument to the attention of the Parliament under reporting ground J for failing to comply with the requirements of Section 28.2 of the Interpretation and Legislative Reform Scotland Act 2020. Does the committee therefore wish to draw this instrument to the attention of Parliament under reporting ground J? The committee also considers the reasons for the breach of the 28-day rule, which in this case are set out in a letter to the presiding officer dated 14 May 2020. The letter explains that as a result of the current coronavirus outbreak, education authorities are reporting significant difficulties in providing the necessary resources needed to successfully carry out the exclusion appeal process. The Scottish Government consider that it is necessary to bring these modifications made by the instrument into force as early as possible to provide sufficient flexibility in timescales to successfully support the process for education authorities to convene appeal committees to hear such appeals. Is the committee content with the reasons given for the failure to comply with Section 28.2? Thank you. Adults with Incapacity Ethics Committee Scotland Coronavirus Amendment Regulations 2020 SSI 2020-151. This instrument amends the Adults with Incapacity Ethics Committee Scotland Regulations 2002 as a consequence of COVID-19. This is in order to improve the capacity of the Ethics Committee that considers research involving adults with incapacity in Scotland and introduce some flexibilities into its working practices. The instrument was laid before the Parliament on 15 May 2020 and came into force on 21 May 2020. This does not respect the requirement that at least 28 days should elapse between the laying of an instrument, which is subject to the negative procedure, and the coming into force of that instrument. As with the previous instrument, the committee is therefore required to draw the instrument to the attention of the Parliament for breaching the 28-day rule. Does the committee therefore wish to draw this instrument to the attention of the Parliament under reporting ground J? Great. The reasons for the breach of the 28-day rule in this case are set out in a letter to the presiding officer dated 15 May 2020. This letter sets out that the Scottish Government considers that there is an urgent need to bring the instrument into force to address a significant increase in the Ethics Committee's workload due to high volumes of COVID-19 research being commissioned. Is the committee content with the reasons given for the failure to comply with Section 28.2? Great, thank you. No points have been raised on SSIs 2020-143, 146, 148, 150, 152 and 153. Is the committee content with these instruments? Content, thank you. Under Agenda Item 3, we are considering an instrument subject to no parliamentary procedure. No points have been raised on SSI 2020-147. Is the committee content with this instrument? Okay, thank you. I now close the meeting. Thank you.